Are you addicted to your cell phone? Do you find that your cell phone gets in the way of your relationships? Do you find that you run into things sometimes or trip and fall because you're looking at your phone? Do you use your phone to escape? Do you use your phone at every spare moment, even when you are on the toilet? If you struggle with an addiction to your cell phone, you are going to want to listen to this episode because I want to share with you why you're addicted, what to do about it, and the real reason you are grabbing for your phone. That is what is coming up today on the Possibility Mom Live. I think everybody can be honest. Like, if you're really being honest, I think almost everybody can relate to this feeling of being addicted to their cell phone, whether you are using it for work and you're checking it for hearts, for likes, for reactions to recent posts, for business inquiries, for clients saying yes to proposals. I think for those of us who are in business, the phone can become a very helpful tool, but also can be a very harmful tool. And for those of us who are moms, who, like me, are homeschooling their children or who are around their children for a lot of the day, the phone can become a source of dealing with negative emotions. And so, whether you are a stay at home mother, a work from home mother, or some combination of all the things, I hope this is the kind of podcast you keep in your back pocket, that you download, that you reference when you need a little bit of a tune up. Because what is at stake if we do not adjust our relationship with our phone is many different things. But before we get into all of that, I want to share with you that at certain times of the year, I open up spots inside of the Possibility Mom Inner Circle Mastermind. My mastermind is for women who are making money in their business, but are struggling with feeling confident, with struggling with growth, who are struggling with ensuring that everything is in right priority, in right order. And it's also for women who are really looking to fast track their business. Perhaps you are someone who has worked another career, like you are currently a doctor, or you are currently a lawyer, or you are currently some other profession, and you have really felt the call to enter into entrepreneurship and start a business on your own. I love helping people fast track their businesses. So if you are interested in having a mentor and having a community of women who are making money in their businesses, who want to fast track the way that they build their businesses so that they're not, if you don't want to do the research yourself and you would like someone to simply guide you through that process, I want you to reach out to me on Instagram at Lisa Canning and send me a DM letting me know that you are interested so that we can set up a time to chat. Just DM me on Instagram at Lisa Canning so that we can chat about a spot saved for you inside of my Inner Circle Mastermind. Alrighty, let's get back to cell phones. There are 4 things I want to tackle today, 4 things that I believe we all need to recognize when it comes to our cell phones. At time of recording, we are approaching Lent 2023. This is a perfect time to examine and become more aware of our cell phone usage and how it might be helping us and how it might be harming us. So, how to break your cell phone addiction? Let's go. Number 1, the very first thing we've got to do is recognize it is a problem. I think, like I said, I think a lot of people, at least in my DMs on Instagram, a lot of people self admittedly just like simply say, yes, it has totally become a problem. I am super distracted with my phone. It's getting in the way of things. And so here are a few things. If you're listening to this and you're not sure if your phone is a problem or not, I want to invite you to reflect on these areas. Number 1, Does it impact your relationships? I'm going to be super vulnerable here. My husband has said to me repeatedly, like, I want to throw your phone out the car window. He has repeatedly said to me, your phone, like, are you talking to me? Are you talking to your phone? So if you are tempted to pull your phone out when you are in a social situation, if you are tempted to check your phone while you are on date night, if you literally just are not able to get through conversations and social engagements, like the presence of others, without checking your phone, that might be a sign that you have a problem. The second area I want to invite you to just reflect on, and feel free to put in the chat which area you struggle with. Does it impact your productivity? This is one that I fall into a lot, where I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, I've got an hour. I am going to knock this task out. And yet at the end of the hour, I'm like, what happened? How come I'm only like an eighth of the way through this assignment or this project? And if I'm being really honest, it's because I was checking notifications on my phone, or I got distracted by something on my phone. There was a recent study that in 2022, the average US phone user picked up their phone 60 times a day and was on their phone for 4 hours. Now, of course, many of you listening probably use your phone for work. Many of you listening probably use your phone to assist you in homeschooling and all those kinds of things. So, of course, there are advantages or useful ways to use your phone that might be contributing to those 4 hours, of course. However, if we're all being honest, when we are interrupted by a notification, this constant pick up, put down, pick up, put down, be focused on an activity, get interrupted, is of course going to impact how productive we can be. This is why concepts like deep work are just so interesting and so essential, and I encourage everyone to embrace. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. Right now, my children are embracing discomfort right now of some kind. So if you can hear that in the background, that's what's going on. They are safely with their father, who I'm sure will navigate that beautifully. So, does your phone usage impact your productivity? And then number three, does it impact your peace? And this is the one I struggle with the most. I will be on my phone and I will be, for example, like, I'll nurse the baby and I will have a Instagram post to write. So I will be nursing the baby. I will have the phone in my hands. I will be writing the caption for my Instagram post, but then a notification will come up that someone has left me a message on Facebook. So then I will pause what I'm doing in Instagram, go over to Facebook, respond to that um, comment or to that question, and then I will get a ding that, oh, somebody sent me a message on VRBO, because we're currently renting out our house in Florida while I'm here in my newly painted childhood bedroom in Toronto, Canada. So then I'll check the VRBO message and I'll start responding to that. And before I know it, so on and so forth, I have little bits of different tasks completed, but nothing is fully finished. Is this a productivity thing? Yes, but for me, it's actually more of a peaceful interruption. Like, it is interrupting my peace. The other thing that I personally find very challenging about peace when it comes to my phone is I will get information about things that perhaps if I did not have a phone, I would not have that information. So let me give you an example. Yesterday, I am on my phone chatting with a friend, and then a notification came up regarding a scandal at a local church. So then, of course, I click on that notification of that little, news ticker type thing. I read that, and then I start clicking on every single possible link in that article for me to learn more and more. I have a tendency to, my fourth strength finder strength is input, which means I really like gathering information. And so, left unchecked, my desire to gather information can go on and on and on and on. If I had not seen that notification, or even had not picked up my phone at that period, I would not have had that information, and I would not have gone down, that rabbit hole, so to speak. And so while we do control our thoughts, right? So I had thoughts about the scandal that of course robbed me of my peace, right? So I did have those thoughts. I can control those thoughts. But we can influence our environments. We can influence the things that we can control. And so we do need to take that into account. Not everything in life is a spiritual attack. Not everything in life is an attack of the enemy. Like there are things that are sometimes simply human in their nature, in their foundation. And I think the way that we interact with our phones and the different notifications and things set up is totally on the natural front, and therefore something that we can very largely control to set us up for success. So, number one, we have got to recognize it is a problem. And so, I invite you right now to just think about, is your phone impacting your relationships? Is it impacting your productivity? Is it impacting your interior peace? Once we have recognized that, yes, it is indeed a problem. Yes, this is happening on a regular basis. Yes, I want to improve. I want to change. Now we are going to recognize why. I want to invite you to recognize why you are grabbing your phone. So let's go to the relationship aspect. Let's say you are homeschooling your children and you are starting to get frustrated because your children, this specific child, is not following the instructions that you have given them to do for that particular period. Let's just arbitrarily say you're doing a math problem and they're not actually tackling the math problem. They're making all these excuses. So, of course, you're starting to get more frustrated. They're starting to get more frustrated. And then you go and you reach for your phone. Let's do another one. You are out to dinner with your spouse and they go to the bathroom. So then you pick up your phone and you decide to check what's happening on Instagram. And before you know it, he's back from the bathroom, but you are knee deep. You are just scrolling, 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 and you don't even notice that he has returned. Or let's go to you are using your phone to read the daily mass readings, and then a notification comes up that draws you away from your activity. Okay. What all of these things have in common, or what they can have in common, is something that is so fundamental in the life coaching world, something that I am equipping my clients in my academies, in my one on one coaching, in my mastermind. I am equipping them every single time I coach to deal with. And what is that? Negative emotions. I think the number one reason we all reach for our phones is that we are not handling, or we don't want to handle, or we want to avoid a negative emotion. And we use our phones as a strategy, as a mechanism, as a comfort so that we don't have to deal with that negative emotion. If you really pull all of those examples or any situation in your life and just observe the next time you grab your phone, think about why. Obviously, sometimes we are doing it for utility, obviously. But most often, if it's not for a really specific utilitarian purpose, like checking what time the movie you're going to go see is, for example, it's because you're avoiding a negative emotion. Let me take those three examples that I just shared, and let's dissect these negative emotions. So, first example, you're homeschooling your child, they're not doing the math problem, you're getting irritated. You might be thinking, this is so annoying, or there is no way I'm going to get through my day, or I'm so frustrated, they're not following my instruction. So, of course, it's like, don't want to feel that right now. I'm going to grab my phone and be entertained on YouTube. Your husband goes to the bathroom while you're on date night. You might be feeling bored. And that feeling of boredom might be enough for you to grab your phone and want to escape feeling bored. Finally, the example where you're praying and the notification comes up, and then you feel prompted or tempted to follow that notification as opposed to staying in your prayer time. The negative feeling you might be feeling is, I don't want to miss out. I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to not be in the know. There are a myriad of negative emotions that occur. If I'm being transparent and honest about my negative emotion that I try to avoid the most, it's probably a combo platter of yelling in my house. So when there are disagreements among my children, when a child has not been able to get their way, and then there is a bunch of noise, I will often really like try to escape that. I don't want to deal with the overwhelm, negative emotion. And then my second one, I would say, is disappointment for me. So when I'm feeling disappointment, I try to avoid feeling disappointed by going on my phone. So, what negative emotion are you trying to avoid? And you're seeking that comfort on your phone. So, number one, we need to recognize it's a problem. Number two, recognize why you're doing it. What are you avoiding by grabbing your phone? And then number three, we need to recognize the thought. What is the thought that you were thinking that led you to try to avoid that emotion? So, for example, with my child, with that example with homeschooling, um, there's no way I'm going to get through this. When you can literally isolate the thought, there's no way I'm going to get through this, and literally just like put it on a piece of paper, like a post it note, like just it's something that you would write and leave for somebody else on a post it note. We can now become objective. We can now start to look at that thought and loosen the hold it might have on you. Because we are created as human beings with reason and intellect. We are created as human beings. The Lord has given us brains in order to be able to choose what we think. Hear that very clearly from me, everybody. We are not like animals. We do not just follow instincts, although our instincts are very strong as human beings. The Lord has given us the ability to think, which means you can take that thought, this is going to last all day, or I'm never going to get through this, that post it note, that sentence on a post it note, and look at it and start to decide if that is indeed actually true, if that is indeed a thought that's going to help you, if that is indeed a thought that is going to get you further in life, if that's a thought that's going to help your family. And when I look at that thought, this like hypothetical thought on a post-it note, whatever it is that made you go and grab your phone to avoid that negative emotion that you're trying to not feel, we can start to say, oh, it's actually not really true. Or maybe it's like 10% true, but there's 90% of it that's really not true. And we can start to see the truth of the situation as opposed to listening only to our emotions. This is the core competency, so to speak, of mindset coaching, of mindset work. Take a thought, get more objective about it, and then choose. Who wants me to believe this thought that I'm never going to go through it? Get through this day, get through this activity, Jesus Christ or the devil? Do you think the devil would delight if I just spent all day on my phone and ignored my children? He'd probably be pretty happy about that. So let's punch the devil in the face and not give him the satisfaction. So, number three, recognize the thought. What is the thought that caused you to feel that negative emotion that you're now trying to avoid at all costs by picking up your phone? And then, number four, recognize you will need to be prepared. Recognize that this is a habit for you already. And so, very quickly, I want to share with you Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit, he talks about how habits are formed and breaks it down into three components. We have a cue, then we have a routine, and then we have a reward. So, as I've been talking about, let's use this homeschool example. The cue is your child is not following what you would like them to do. That's your cue. Your routine is, ooh, this feels annoying. This feels uncomfortable. I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to go on YouTube for a minute. The reward is you, for a moment, no longer feel frustrated. And then this becomes something that your brain gets informed. Like you're feeding your brain information that this is how we remain safe. Your child disobeys. You don't want to feel this way. So you're going to grab your phone. And now your reward is you no longer feel this discomfort. Our brain, especially when we've done that so many times, our brain is going to develop this very deep neural pathway around that behavior. But what's amazing is that we're in charge of our brains. And so you can actually create a different pathway that your brain will now see as acceptable, a different pathway that your brain will now see as a safe option. And you have the power to create it. All right. So, but we need to be prepared. What do I mean by that? So, for example, let's take another example that is also kind of challenging for me. And if you watched my stories on Instagram at Lisa Canning, you'll see that on Tuesday, February 7th, 7 hours of Netflix went through my phone. And at first I was like, I know I was folding laundry and like cleaning up and I had Netflix in the background, but was it really 7 hours worth? That I was like so embarrassed. And then I looked at the time and it was like all through the night. So like I had obviously like watched something and fell asleep and my phone played all through the night. And that's where the 7 hours was. But regardless, I am having currently a challenge with my nighttime phone habits. I will watch something and then it just goes on forever. It's like, okay, next episode. Okay, next episode. And I'm finding it difficult in the current season that I'm in to have more distance and self-control in regards to watching um, shows or whatever, entertainment on my phone at nighttime. So, knowing this, knowing that I'm now aware of it, I know why I'm doing it to some degree. I'm thinking thoughts like, this is my alone time. I'm thinking thoughts like this is the only time I can relax. Like it's a lot of, I would say, pretty common mom thoughts that I'm having right now. And so I need to be prepared. What's one way to be prepared is I need to diversify the way I relax and diversify it in a way that does not necessarily involve my phone that can form addictive behaviors like next episode. It like encourages these addictive behaviors. That's how our phones are designed. So what I've started to do was read. I went to the library and I got prepared. I was like, we're just going to like stop this habit and I'm going to start reading before I go to bed. So there are a myriad of ways that one can be prepared. Another resource I want to share with you is just the importance of silence and how silence is not something to be feared. How in silence we can hear ourselves think, and in silence is when we hear the voice of God. How on earth are we expected to be able to hear what the Lord wants for our life when we are filling every single minute, even when we're on the toilet, with our phone? When I coach women, both in my Instagram DMs, I'm telling you a lot of coaching happenings in my Instagram DMs, but also in my formal one-on-one coaching and my mastermind in my academies. When I'm coaching women, a question that I'm constantly asked is, what does the Lord want for my life? And again, I just want to reiterate, how on earth can we know what he wants if we don't have a lot of time in our life to be quiet. Now, you might be thinking, Lisa, oh my gosh, you're so idealistic. I have no silence. I have a newborn. I have a toddler. I have an infant. It's very, very rare that I get silence. Yes, literal silence, of course. There's going to be lots of that when you've got small children. So, then all the more reason for the times that we can control, for the times when we are using our agency and we are selecting the activities we get into, all the more reason we need to really like appeal to that virtue of prudence, appeal to that virtue of obedience, call the Lord in and be like, give me the grace in this particular area so that I may do your will and come to know you better right here, right now. If this is interesting, if this is appealing to you, if you want to change your cell phone habit and have this spill also into other areas of your life in the best way, I want to invite you to join me inside my completely free Break Your Cell Phone Addiction Lent 2023. The link is right below wherever you are watching this or in the show notes. It is a free experience that begins on Monday, February 20th. And believe it or not, at time of recording, it is really, really close. I cannot believe how quickly Lent is coming. If you're listening to this and Lent has already begun, you are still so welcome to come and join us. Everything is going to be recorded. Everything begins with a totally free coaching session with me. I normally charge $349 for my 1 hour coaching sessions. You're getting access to me in a group setting where I will coach you on your phone usage. I will coach you on the thoughts that make you think you need to use your phone even when you're sitting on the toilet. I will coach you on the thoughts that you're thinking that are negative, that are challenging, that are overwhelming, shame, guilt, disappointment, frustration, anger. I'll coach you on all of it, so that you can have the most recollected and connected Lent of your life. If you have never participated in mindset coaching, if you do not know what mindset coaching is, if you're like, what is this that she speaks of? This is a great way for you to see what it is like to be coached in a way that's completely in line with your Catholic anthropology. This is a challenge that is primarily for Catholic moms, but of course, all are welcome who are ready to embrace and accept this worldview, or open, to this worldview. Because the biggest thing that is different here when you get coaching from a Catholic, the biggest difference in me as a coach versus a coach that is not Catholic is that you are going to hear about how the Holy Spirit is going to be essential in this. I used to think about personal development and things like phone usage or things like losing weight or diet or exercise as just the kind of thing that you had to white knuckle. I promise you, what you're getting from me that is different is that it's not white knuckle. I'm actually going to help you develop the thoughts that will motivate you to have a healthier approach to your cell phone, to be able to improve your relationships with your loved ones so that your husband maybe doesn't say, I want to throw your phone out the window, or your children don't call you phone face. All very real examples over here. So if you are looking to improve your relationships, if you are looking to improve your productivity, if you are looking to improve your general interior peace, I want to invite you inside my challenge. You can go to the link in the show notes or below this video on YouTube to join me. If you can't tell, I am pretty passionate about this, and it's because in this new transition where we are currently in Toronto, Canada, homeschooling electively for the first time, homeschooling a very different stage of my family compared to when I was homeschooling during the pandemic. It's a different phase. So of course, I've got lots of different emotions, and I have been surprised at how I have been dealing with them, AKA grabbing my phone for a lot of comfort. And so I set this challenge just as much for you as I do for myself, that it is possible and, dare I say, necessary and so effective. Like, can you imagine how effective we could all be as moms and as business owners if we weren't so distracted? Can you imagine what effective moms and business owners we could be if we were more productive? And can you imagine what effective moms, wives, business owners, all the things that we could be if we can manage our emotions and know how to be peaceful, reach that place of interior peace and interior freedom that is so in our agency. Like, we have the agency to get there. If this sounds interesting to you, go ahead and sign up via the link in the show notes or in the description on YouTube. Everything rocks and rolls on Monday, February 20th, with a free group coaching session at 12 p.m. East. Alrighty, friends. I'm so grateful just to be able to do this work. It gives me I don't know if you can tell, it gives me so much energy. And this is just such a joy. Alrighty, see you soon.